I'm Eric. I'm going to be a sophomore at Columbia University in the fall. I'm from this area, grew up in Los Altos, went to Korea Elementary School, Kennedy Middle School, Monte Vista High School. But most of all, I've been a ShareWorld alumni since 7th grade. I really appreciate all the class and foundation that ShareWorld has built. And so I'm really here today to share with you some unique insight about schools in New York. In particular, we're going to pretend this is virtual college tour. We're going to transport, take a plane ticket, pretend we didn't have to pay $800 and fly to New York City. And we're going to first start off, we're going to start and end up at NYU, New York University. It's located in the lower side of Manhattan, between Soho and like Chelsea. And it's one of the top private schools in New York. It has about 4,500 different programs of courses with 230 total programs of study, majors, etc., concentrations. There are 11 different like undergraduate schools, and there we go. And there's like the College of Arts and Sciences, which is the general liberal arts program. There's the Stern School of Business for those that are very sure that they want to concentrate on eventually going into business. And there's also the Tisch School of the Arts for those people that are interested in video production, drama, etc. And I feel like having that kind of diversity on a campus is really important to be able to have people with different interests come together and realize how you like coexist in the community. You'll learn a lot. One of my best friends is at the Tisch School of Arts. He does film production. And just sitting down and just having a conversation about the movies you watch in the theater and how people come up with the shots, the angles, the music, and how it all comes together. You'll have a much deeper understanding and appreciation for everything you do in your life. So it's really great that you have these opportunities. Like, I know that if you go to school with only like one type of person, you'll hear the same story over and over again. You'll have a very detailed understanding of what that story is, but sometimes it's good to have broader horizons. Athletics at NYU are not as big of a part, but it does exist. It's a Division II school, and what you have is a bunch of programs that are highly competitive within Division II. For men, there's volleyball, track and field, etc. And on the women's side, there's also like 11 different varsity programs. And I guess just because I want to skip straight to it, I think it's pretty cool that because you're in the heart of New York City, you'll meet a bunch of cool people. And I don't know if any of you guys grew up with the Disney Channel, but if any of you guys watched The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, the two actors in it, the Sprouse twins, I don't know if I'm wrong, correct me, but they're actually the same year as me, and they're going to be sophomores at NYU in the fall. And so, you know, if you really grew up idolizing them, you want an autograph with them, maybe it's up to you to go apply to NYU and make it happen, right? I'm kidding. I think they'd be really annoyed at you if you tried to get the autograph, but in general, you'll meet a bunch of like cool people in the city. You'll have the experience to kind of pursue your passions. And here's a picture from the dorm room at night. NYU, I know there's no centralized campus, which may be a turnoff to a lot of people, but fortunately what they did was bought out a bunch of old hotels in the past, and they renovated them. So if you want like top housing in New York City and you can't afford it, this is one of the few times you get to have amazing housing, amazing view right in the city. I promise you. I go to Columbia, but I'm telling you, their dorm is much nicer. Let's see, in terms of life, like other facilities, there's gym, library, etc. I know it's going to be a little more strange not having that centralized campus because you're basically walking around the city, walking around Washington Square Park, but a lot of people actually like being integrated right into the city, and there's still a very like centralized campus kind of organization and lifestyle because like all the freshman classes have like an orientation, a bunch of activities in Washington Square Park. You'll always be connected to your community even though you're kind of embedded right in the city. Here's another picture, also a night from the dorm room. I think it's something that not everyone gets to experience, so if you get a chance to apply to NYU and you're interested in whatever field they have to offer. Especially I'd push towards those interested in drama, arts, business. This is one of the top schools. It's a very strong, as long as you have like, I don't know, it's a good target and reach school for a lot of people. And I know it's maybe private education isn't quote unquote the most affordable, but trying to throw out some numbers out there, like our state budget, if we've been paying attention, we have about $500 billion in pensions going out, and the first cuts that are going to go is probably education. So sometimes you have to think and not just apply to the UCs, but really apply to a net of maybe 5-10 schools. And I feel like that would maximize your chances of getting the best four-year college experience. So that's it for NYU, and I'm going to transition on to my own school, Columbia. Well, Columbia is a bit further north, so we're going to drive, take a taxi, take a subway, take the Green Line up to Times Square, and then from Times Square we're going to go to Upper West Side, and we're not going to get shot along the way. I know this is going to be a really gruesome statistics, and parents, you don't ever want to hear this, but unfortunately last week 3 people were shot like 6 blocks north. So yes, safety instances do occur near Columbia, but for the most part, Columbia is a very safe campus. Those incidents are really isolated, so I know the news will blow these things out of proportion. Last year, everyone's concerned about a drug ring, but I promise that's the exception, and it makes the news because everyone wants to tarnish a school's reputation. So once we walk north to 116, we're at one of the top schools in the nation. Everyone wants to look at the rankings, so off the top of my head, it's number 4 in the USA News thing. It's got the only graduate school for journalism in the Ivy League. It's got a business school that's probably the top in the nation. It's got a number of programs accessible to students, and for a lot of people, it's a dream school. And I think for me, the journey starts with careful planning, preparation. A lot of questions that I get are, how'd you get there? What are the steps that take it? And it's coming with a solid foundation, solid planning. And I think one of the biggest things that I can attest to my success is coming through the ShareWorld Learning Center program. Like, I think applying to these schools, unfortunately, there's already a really high threshold. You need those high SAT scores, 2200 plus. You need those bunch of AP scores. You need a bunch of SAT 2s. And the place I would go to for that place, all of that, I walked down the street to a bunch of places, drove all the way out to Fremont. I don't need to name the places, but ultimately I came back to ShareWorld because I trusted them. I didn't want to waste my time on other programs, and I made a difference. In the end, early decision to my dream school, so pretty happy. Applied to 10 schools. ShareWorld made it happen. So now I get to come back, and if you're a part of ShareWorld, you get to be part of this community where I can tell you about the cool people I meet. So first of all, at Columbia, maybe the weirdest thing, I know it's not for the little kids, but how many of you guys know who Kenny G is? Just throwing it out there off the top of my head. 1 person, 2 people, 3 people. Okay. Has to play like saxophone, right? And his son actually is in Finnish class with me, and we're going to Finland together. Is that cool? I guess so. It happens, I guess, once in a lifetime. So actually next week I'm going to Kenny G's house, so not taking autograph requests, but I don't know, it's one of those cool things that gets to happen. So I thought I'd throw it out there. Academic-wise, again, you have these same cool stories. I don't have any prizes to give away for trivia, but anyone that recognized either person, shout it out, raise your hand. I'll bake you cookies if you get it right. No, well, anyways, on the left is Robert Thurman. He's a Tibetan Buddhist. He teaches the Buddhism class, which is part of the core curriculum at Columbia, and he's actually Times top 50 most influential people. He's been recognized. And on the right, he's into sustainable development. He's founded the Sustainable Development Program at Columbia. Is Jeffrey Sachs, graduated from Harvard. He's a big name in terms of trying to make sure that we don't destroy the world before, I don't know, the next century. And in addition to these like star faculty, all the teachers are there to care for you. At Columbia, it's probably a 10-to-1 student-faculty ratio. I can tell you both ends of the spectrum. Just like UCLA, you'll have those classes. I sit in astronomy class behind the football kids, behind all those 192 kids. I went to the office hours once, and the professor didn't know my name, and I said, "Hi, I'm Eric." And that's probably he forgot me the next day. It happens. On the other extreme, I have a class, my language class, I'm taking Finnish. It's a strange language, I know, but class of 2 people, department of 8 people. We literally like know each other first name basis, all like events together, and you have both ends of the spectrum. And in the middle are your core classes, which are required through your first 3 years. You'll take, let's see, like it's called Literature Humanities. You'll take your Contemporary Civilization, Art Humanities, Music Humanities, and all of those have about a 20-person cap, which means you'll have a lot of individualized attention. You'll network with the kids in your class, and you'll have access to a top network. The kid that sat in the back of my Literature Humanities class, I got to know him. He's actually meeting with venture capitalists in Palo Alto for the next month or 2. He's been featured in GQ. He's a fashion designer. He's top 30 like most influential designers for the future. He's my age. Getting to meet people like that, wow. Like, not everyone gets to do that. Campus life, well, unfortunately we're not too strong on the sports side. Here's a picture from a sports rally we had for basketball. We're all, well, I'm going to blanket statement this, but we're all Asian American in this room. We have a few exceptions here, so we all know about the hype about Jeremy Lin. Oh my God, Asian American basketball superstar now, on the radar. He actually came to one of our basketball games to cheer on Harvard. Yes, Harvard did beat us, but that was a big deal. Like one of those cool events that you get from being in the city. I know that in contrast to NYU, the biggest difference is that there is that centralized campus. So what you end up having is the feel of a tight-knit community. And the best thing about how small the campus is I'm living on the 9th floor last year, and let's say, oh no, class is in 5 minutes, I just woke up. I can run down the stairs, run like 50 feet, and my classroom's right there. I promise you, I've been late, but I've never been that late before. It's not a 20-minute commitment to get to class. Worst story that happened to me, let's see. I slept through half my class. This is a 2-person class, so there was 1 student, and literally the teacher had the other student pick up her cell phone, call me, and wake me up, and drag me to class. So I've never missed that class. Thankfully, I almost missed it once because I almost slept through. I was sick that day, so partial blame. Beyond that, there's a lot of music groups, performance group. We have the varsity show, a lot of top performers. I know you guys, a lot of us do play instruments. We're classically trained artists. If you follow the high-level pianists in the area, one of them our age, up-and-coming talent, is a person called Conrad Tao from Oregon. He's in our class. He's probably doing a few Steinway series, so if you ever see him on tour, be like, oh, he's a Columbia kid. Let's see, yeah, more campus life pictures. This is one of my friends on the left. He's dressed a little differently, but we do a fashion magazine together, so there are a bunch of publications available. I'm personally into journalism and whatnot, so we can do those kind of things. On the general basis, this is kind of the central part of campus, and what you have is a bunch of events happening throughout the year. We have a spring concert, some recognizable names, like Brown had Childish Gambino, but we had like Big Gigantic, Waves. So we always have a spring concert. We have kind of, in general, you'll find people always on the move, getting somewhere. Some reason, even though I feel like Columbia can be described as an oasis in the middle of like a really big, busy city, sometimes you'll realize it affects the lifestyle of even the students. Everyone's on the move, getting somewhere. Someone's always like, oh, I'm late to this, I'm late to that. And I guess if you want to ask me, what do I think is the right type of mindset if you want to go to Columbia versus maybe another top school, if that's on your radar? is you'll have to be that really proactive, individualized person that doesn't have to wait for someone to tell you to do something, that isn't afraid of doing something on their own and go out there and get it. Because, like, no one's stopping to wait for you. If you don't want to catch up, if you want to do something with someone, you really have to go out there and look for it. Like, some people are really into, like, jazz. I know some kid, he played, I don't know if you watched the Grammy 2 years ago, but there was this person called Esperanza. She did like bass and stuff, and one of her backup people, one of my best friends, so things like that happen. You look in the first year dorms. This is not my room. I don't like the script, if you can recognize the poster. But the size of a first year dorm is about 115 to 120 square feet. So imagine like maybe from here to here, and from me, the wall, to maybe the second row. That's your whole room. So if you like to spread out, if you have to like have a lot of things, it's not school for you in terms of living conditions. Literally, I sleep in my bed, and I sit in my chair, and I can walk a few feet, and if I really am too lazy to go to the gym, I can barely do push-ups in the room. That's about it. Like, yeah, like that's really the epitome of New York living. It's not like NYU where you have like pretty much a hotel room. Everyone in the first year is required to have a meal plan, and I guess a lot of people are going to ask you, why do you have to pay for a meal plan? Isn't that expensive? What's the point? Like, for UCLA Tufts, the food is great. I shouldn't complain, you shouldn't complain. But if you go to Columbia, the food is pretty bad. And for me, I also have a bunch of allergies. I'm lactose intolerant, I'm a celiac, which means I can't eat wheat. But I still survived, I still found enough to eat. I didn't starve. But the biggest thing is you realize when you have a meal plan, I don't care how social you are, if you're sitting down with your classmates every day and you eat a meal with them, you'll network with them. And if you really want to make a connection, sometimes that's all it takes. I know some people really like frat life, Greek life, and unfortunately at Columbia, if you're looking for that, it's often a kind of source of stigma. Unfortunately at Columbia, there's like maybe 10-15% are in Greek life, and most of them end up saying, oh, you look at them and you're like, oh, you're paying for your friends. Unfortunately at Columbia, that's the attitude. I know at a lot of other schools, you may have a much more positive Greek life experience, but at Columbia, it's really hard to find. Obviously, the tour, if you went in there and talked about it and you're looking for frat life, they'll like, yeah, it exists, but it doesn't exist in a very good way. Athletics, well, this isn't a varsity team, and I know some of the people have their shirts and jerseys tucked in because it's a joke. So I promise you, not everyone at Columbia is that dorky. But this is our volleyball team. This is a club team, but we traveled to Missouri for nationals. We have 31 like varsity teams for male and female, so we compete NCAAs, just like what you see on TV. We're never gonna make any of those like things. We played UConn, the defending national NCAA basketball champions. We got crushed by them, etc. Like, if you want to go for a big sports school, our football team went 1-11, but we won the one game, last game of the season against Brown in double overtime. Somehow, I don't know how. So, but if you're really into watching fencing or squash, we have the like 31st best person at squash in the nation. We have a few Olympians for swimming. We win track and field. So if you're into those weird individualized sports and you want to watch it, go for it. If you really, really, really want to watch team sports, maybe not the place for you again. The club sports are also pretty like a great chance to meet with friends, network with people. Just another cool fact out there, like one of the seniors, he's holding the ball, the taller one. He's actually going to be working at the Chicago Board of Trade next year. His roommate is playing in the NFL next year. His mom is part of the board, so all those experiences and things exist at those top schools. Here's the squash player, he's ranked like 30-something in the nation. We have lunch every once in a while, he's a pretty cool guy. So in conclusion, I know I just threw a bunch of random stories and facts out there, and you're asking, what did I get out of it? Well, the biggest thing I want to remember or want you to remember, is the strength of the connections. It's wherever you land up, you have a chance to build connections, to build a bridge. And it doesn't start in college. It doesn't start when you have a job. Your network starts where you start. Like, you're dealt a hand of cards in your life, and one of the chances in the Bay Area is to be part of the ShareWorld support group. Like, what you have here, I vouch for, is a group of top students that really want to take advantage of all the academic opportunities afforded for them. And a lot of them, for the last 20 years, have gone on to do amazing things. They have a wealth of experience, knowledges. Like, teachers working with them will tell stories about them. It's a two-way dialogue always, and you'll have to remember that if you want to be a part of this, whether it be for extracurricular, like you want to come here for classes, you need college counseling, I promise you, like, when I got through this, like, I come back here not because someone dragged me kicking and screaming, it's because I want to be here, I want to give back to the community. And opportunities like this don't exist elsewhere, they probably exist at ShareWorld. I promise you, no one else is going to drag me off. You won't hear me talking about college admissions for another company. Like, it's one of those things. So hopefully you guys learned something today. So have fun.